The sunshine has been few and far between this spring and summer, so the garden and the flowers are all a bit behind. It will be okay though. I am in the process of learning to work with the seasons. Seasons of life and seasons of time. Trusting that having done my part to ensure that the seeds have been sown, in due time, the earth will yield up harvest. Then there is always the hopes and plans for next year. I took an unplanned break from posting this past month because the pressures and commitments of life were having their moment. Things rarely go as planned, and I often wryly think to myself, best laid plans of mice and men. The older I get and the more of life that I have witnessed, I have learned that plans should be held loosely, because while you can set your mind to a thing and plan upon it, if you are not willing to bend and move with the breeze, you risk breaking, and then what good is the plan if it exists, but peace does not? There's something so very stabilizing about living on a spot of dirt that has been inhabited before. It seems a little as though it has seen it all and endured. It gives me a bit more grit when I need it and always brings a smile to my face. This homestead has seen slow seasons before. The house has lived through sadness and times of great joy. The old barn has remained for over a century, faithfully guarding whatever its keeper has entrusted to its care. The earth has given of its life and tiny microorganisms time and time again to foster what has been planted in it. The walls of home has called many a family its home. The homestead has seen this before, and it will see it again. The strawberries are starting to blush, and the blossom-clad orchard is now turning to fruit. There is always a next thing to be done, and I find myself often rushing through one task so that I can check it off and reach for the next. In truth, I count it a privilege to get to care for this land during this space and time, to live out my someday to the sound of wind chimes and screen doors squeaking and then slamming behind the pattering bare feet. I think what I love most of all is the little details that can be missed in the rush of life. Taking the time to whiten the whites, the smell of freshly pressed linens with their crisp, clean lines. Discovering old beds of perennials that have long fallen into disarray but held on tenaciously, waiting to be rediscovered and to bring happy flowers to the kitchen table or bedside stand. We live in an age of rush, and it does not give much room for sitting with one's own thoughts, so little tasks like mixing up a new batch of laundry soap or mending give me a chance to slow down and think, while still remaining productive and not sitting idle. Last week, I preserved a batch of lilac jelly from blooms harvested off of the big old lilac that sits snug and happy against the logs on the west side of the house. It made over 20 half pints and filled my kitchen with the nostalgic aroma of lilacs. The boys were ecstatic to be restocked with lilac jelly, and I loved to have the jars on hand to tuck into a hostess gift, or just a random and thoughtful gesture of, I love you, from my kitchen to yours. I think more than anything, I crave the intertwining of lives and seasons, the days of neighbors and front porch chats over tea, the village, the hard day's work. Little hands stuffing yet another jelly-laden piece of fresh bread into their tummies, and the inevitable sticky hands that make you sigh and need to wipe down the cabinet door again, and call out the door to remind them to wash their hands again. I don't know. I think that wholesome, honest living, where we embrace the hard and every little bit of gladness and speckle of beauty is breathed in deeply, makes for happy hearts around the hearth each night. Days where we invest our energy into teaching the next generation the time-honored crafts so they are not forgotten, where we discipline ourselves to learn the craftsman ways that have fallen into the memory books, so heirlooms can go on existing and skill sets do not drift off into the horizon on our watch. School is out for the summer, and it makes me so pleased to see the boys picking up their carving and woodworking tools and putting in an effort to create with their hands. Will they be masterful carvers and woodworkers? Time will tell, but even if they are not, I want time to tell of little men stretching their minds and capacities and seeing endless possibilities in a piece of wood, a fallen tree, a scrap of steel, or a bit of land. I want to raise warriors who are not scared to tackle obstacles or tasks that are set before them. And I know that in their imaginative play and any opportunity I can gift them to work with their hands will push them further into becoming men with a backbone. Men who bring glory to God, who defend the helpless and stand up for the weak. Boys will be men one day, and I aim to do my part to raise men who do not back down in the face of the unknown and do not buckle under the stress of time and responsibility. That each would become a man among men is my desire above all else for my two little men. Everything we as mothers, as humanity, do in this moment is shaping the future. It is a high calling and a noble task, and so, We close out another week on the homestead and square our shoulders to face the sun and put one foot in front of the next, because onward we go.